Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and having a great day as usual. To start things off, John McAfee, whether you love him or hate him, he is once again back in the news, and this time he normally only talks about specific coins or like one or two coins at a time, but he has made price predictions for not only Bitcoin but EOS, Bitcoin Private, and Golem. John McAfee, the founder of the global computer security software company, has been one of the strongest proponents of cryptocurrency since its origin. It's been noticed that McAfee's short-term predictions about cryptocurrencies have caught a lot of attention on Twitter, that's an understatement, and other social media platforms. These predictions have certainly influenced a lot of virtual currency investors and traders over a period of time. Following is a snippet of his recent cryptocurrency prediction. So this is not that it's weird, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So he said, "I seldom make short-term predictions because they are frequently meaningless and they encourage short-term investors, which in turn encourages mediocrity. But this is a special time. You may measure me on this." He said, first off, something's going to happen in Korea. He said the Korea deal is done and Trump will sign the documents in Singapore on the 12th of June. This date has not yet been published. The various noises being made are propaganda for domestic consumption. He says after Singapore, Trump will go to Japan, where talks of creating a gold-backed US currency will commence. That's kind of the part that got the light bulb going above my head. I have heard no news about this. If this does happen, this will completely change the world as we know it. So he says, as far as crypto, he says Bitcoin will go past $15,000 in June and will dip in July. Golem, he says, will go past $5 by the end of July. Another coin called Dokademic will hit 73 cents. Another coin called BZOP, never heard of that either, will hit 52 cents by mid-July. He says Bitcoin Private will surpass $200 by the end of July, and EOS will hit $32 by the end of July as well. According to his recent tweet, after this bearish Bitcoin period, with Bitcoin prices dropping below 7,500, the prices are expected to rise up to $15,000 in July, after which it will dip again. Golem, which is currently priced at 46 cents, is expected to rise to $5, gaining more than 4 times its value by the end of the next 2 months. I'm not going to talk about Dokademic or BZOP simply because I don't know that much about them. He has, I don't know what goes on in his head or where he gets these numbers from or what he's thinking about. But the fact that he's talking about other coins, especially, I like Golem, I like the project. I think the mainnet isn't launching for like another year and a half, maybe 2 years down the line. So for it to go from 46 cents to $5 without an actual mainnet or proper implementation of the full thing is kind of insane. I was listening to, I think I may have news about this as well, and I'll talk about it a bit later on, about why he's saying Bitcoin should be or will be at 15,000. It's actually kind of interesting when you get a bit more into it. But even Bitcoin Private, okay, to be fair, I don't own any Bitcoin Gold or Bitcoin Private. But there's been a lot of rumblings lately about these two coins. I'm not sure if it's because they carry the Bitcoin name and they're a lot less expensive than the main Bitcoin. But there's been a lot of talk about them recently, especially like even people on CNBC discussing Bitcoin Gold and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it's like another way for people to get into the Bitcoin name, speculation kind of. But Bitcoin Private, he has said before that he thinks that, I believe he's going to beat out Monero or Zcash. I can't remember exactly which one he said. But he's very steadfast on Bitcoin Private and what he thinks or says it will be able to do. It's currently up by 15%, and I am going to assume this is kind of based off of his talk about it on his Twitter. He is famous for being able to talk about a coin and then the price kind of shoots up. But to be fair, just to kind of put this out there, one, this is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. Don't listen to me. You can skip past this part if you think I sound completely insane. Like I said, this is not financial advice. There was a time, bear with me, when Bitcoin was even $25 itself. This is not to say that this is going to hit $8, $10, $15,000 a coin. But when the market begins to rise rapidly, this is rank 38 on the crypto list. It's pretty fair to say during the next major bull run that we have, this will probably hit $100, $120, somewhere around there. I think the highest that we've ever hit with this was $86. Kind of, I think it's bound to happen eventually that the price will go up. And even when it comes to other Bitcoin forks that we've seen before, they usually tend to have as much Bitcoin circulating as they do. So if, Bitcoin has 17 million circulating, the other ones tend to have also, 16,900,000, around the same exact number. This one is very close to hitting the 21 million max supply. I'm not sure if the creators of Bitcoin Private are holding on to the rest of them, but these numbers are ridiculously close. And I think, just throwing this out there, at some point, someone will, if people start using this, it starts gaining favor over any other coin, this price will obviously probably go up. I myself, thinking about it now that I've said it out loud, I thought about it when I was looking at the price earlier, saying it out loud, if the price does dip some more, I may probably go pick up even 4 of them, maybe 5 if it drops back down to 20. If you have the money to invest it, never invest anything that you can't stand to lose. Probably not a bad idea to hold at least 5 of these. You never know what the future holds, especially if we end up hitting a multi-trillion dollar market. I don't see it out of the realm of possibility that this could eventually hit, $800 over the next 5 years or something like that. Just something to kind of think of. I didn't want to spend, an hour and a half talking about Bitcoin Private. But let's see if any of this comes true. And I say that because John McAfee is always in the news, but he always talks about things that are very, 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 very far away. He talks about 2020, 2021 price predictions. He's not talking about the end of July. We are also near the end of May, so we're hitting June. Let's see if any of these numbers become reality, because if they do, I have a strong feeling not only will he be in the news a bit more, but a lot of people will start following him, because if you make a prediction and it comes true, everyone's going to think you are a crypto oracle. Next up, Russia is in the news, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking after it. Russian bank Sberbank CIB and the National Settlement Depository, the NRD, will pilot the country's first official ICO using the Bank of Russia's regulatory sandbox, Forklog reports on May 24th. So I was talking about before, there are a lot of countries who are afraid of cryptocurrencies and are afraid of ICOs, and they have created something called the sandbox. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. When you go to a park and you see kids playing in a sandbox, all the parents can look in on the sandbox and see exactly where their kids are. So there are a lot of countries who are making these regulatory sandboxes to, if there are any crypto projects or ICOs that are being launched, they can see exactly what's going on at all time. It's kind of creepy, but if this leads us into the crypto revolution, why not? Sberbank CIB, the investment banking arm of major state-owned bank Sberbank, and NRD, which is part of the Moscow Stock Exchange Group, are now finalizing plans with the central bank to launch the project by the end of summer 2018. Sberbank CIB bank head Igor Bulantsev said that the bank considers the Russian ICO market to be highly promising, emphasizing that many of the bank's clients are interested in this new way of fundraising. The experimental ICO proceeds will reportedly be used to launch new tokenized online services by Level 1, a company that runs the largest commercial lecture hall in Moscow. NRD's Eddie Astanin told local media platform Vedismosti that the project's tokens will only be sold for rubles and will be open exclusively to qualified investors. The part that I think is interesting about all of this is that, if you remember, just a couple of months ago, we had so much news about Russia potentially banning cryptocurrencies and banning ICOs and stopping normal people from using it. And then we had news that they were opening up the doors to people in parliament, that they were the only people who could touch cryptocurrencies, and then they opened it up to institutional investors, and then they slowly opened it up as well to normal Joes. And I think the yearly amount of money that you can put into an ICO if you are a normal person is like $5,000 or something like that. Better than zero, but just kind of I think everything is happening for a reason. Everything has happened for a reason in that they knew they weren't going to ban it. They knew that no such ban was coming. And now we have news that the Russia's largest bank is creating their own ICO. I mean, all the information's kind of there, but good to hear at least that things are moving forward in Russia. Same with the speculation of what's potentially going to happen in China and in India. These are major markets, so let's see exactly where they go in the coming months. Next up, Spain is not a country that we typically hear about when it comes to cryptocurrencies, but they are in the news today. Barcelona Tech City will create a specialized space for blockchain technology development, another sandbox. Local news outlet La Vanguardia reports on, they said it on May 24th, the blockchain space will consist of a second building next to Pier 1, the headquarters of Barcelona Tech City that opened in the summer of 2016 and will most likely be occupied by Spanish blockchain network Alastria, according to unnamed sources. All these sources are unnamed. It's kind of weird. Pier 1 currently houses 1,000 professionals from tech startups and innovation hubs as part of the city's digital ecosystem in the reconverted Paul de Mar. I've never been, I don't know. La Vanguardia writes that the different buildings of Barcelona Tech City will be connected by electric vehicles and also contain centers for health, gaming, and media. Last November, software firm SAP announced that it would join Alastria's blockchain consortium, which contains more than 150 member organizations, including Spanish banks, telecommunication networks, and universities. Let's see exactly what they plan on doing. We hear no news from Spain about anything blockchain or cryptocurrency related. I assume they have a thriving community there, but we never hear anything about it. So let's see if their little blockchain city is actually able to produce something in the next couple of months. Okay, OmiseGo is in the news, and I'm shocked because they're constantly putting out news now when we didn't hear from them for quite some time. Mizuho, who is one of Japan's 3 so-called mega banks, will sponsor Neutrino, the country's first blockchain co-working space established by Ethereum-based startup Omise Japan. Named Neutrino, the country's first specialized blockchain co-working space was established by Omise in Tokyo in March this year. Omise, a Thai-based startup, sees Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin amongst its advisors and closed a $25 million ICO in new financing last year to develop a decentralized platform called OmiseGo. The collaborative space aims to advance research to ultimately deploy operational implementations of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency in businesses and services. Started by OmiseGo, Neutrino is building a thriving community by connecting entrepreneurs, businesses, regulators, and cryptocurrency through leaders together through series of regulatory organized events, workshops, and meetups. In an announcement on Friday, Japanese banking giant Mizuho revealed it will sponsor the co-working space in an arrangement that will see the bank become a long-term tenant of the co-working space. This is yet another mega bank that is getting into cryptocurrencies. I'm not surprised that it's them, but it's really cool that it's happening still in this entire sector. A lot of people are not paying attention to OmiseGo and exactly what they're planning on doing. They have signed up with a number of countries and mega banks. To be clear, OmiseGo is a token that is from a company called Omise that has been around for quite some time. If you want to compare them to something, they are pretty much like the PayPal of Southeast Asia if you were to compare them in some way. So the fact that they're making strides like this is not surprising to me at all. What's going to be surprising to a lot of people who are not paying attention to OmiseGo is just how fast that the coin explodes in price when they officially launch, because not only do they have all these partnerships, I am a huge proponent of proof of stake, in that when they launched and they have proof of stake mining, millions of their coins will be locked up in order to create not only security for the blockchain, but also to create more coins on the network. I think it's going to take a lot of people by surprise because they also don't have a billion coins like many other new projects have. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, OmiseGo only has 100 million coins. This is like a key number because it's only around 5 times as many Bitcoin, that there will ever be. So yeah, this is news from OmiseGo today. I'm very happy that they're constantly in the news with their new partnerships, especially when they're, when you partner with a mega bank. So Bitcoin mining has come into the news a lot over the last couple of days. The Bitfury-backed Hut8 mining group has mined more than 800 Bitcoin in the first quarter of 2018, the company reported on Thursday. In a summary of its quarterly financial results, the company noted it raised $70 million Canadian to continue investing in mining hardware, generated nearly $11 million Canadian in revenue, and is one step closer to opening another facility in Canada. Chief Executive Andrew Kiguel said he was pleased with the work conducted so far, given that Hut8 began operations in late December 2017. The 828 Bitcoins mined in the first quarter of 2018 join another roughly 500 coins mined since December, meaning the company currently has a reserve of more than 1,300 Bitcoins, he said in a statement. However, Hut8 is not done developing its facilities. He noted that the company has begun construction on a new data center in the city of Medicine Hat, which will more than triple the company's mining capacity. If I'm not mistaken, I was listening to a podcast earlier as I went to the supermarket. You guys need to know that. And I'm pretty sure I heard from this guy who they're talking about. He was saying, it's very interesting because a couple of years ago, like I said, if I'm not mistaken, he was saying that he heard about Bitcoin about 5 years ago, got a computer, started mining it, got into it with a couple of other friends. They had about 10, 15 computers. They were mining cryptocurrencies. The prices exploded. They sold a huge portion of it and started buying more computers. And now they've gotten to the point where they have partnered with Bitfury, who's one of the largest mining groups in the entire world. And he was saying, I think it has it somewhere around here as well, like the price of, he says, so they spend around $2,000 more or less to mine each Bitcoin. And he said with the price of each Bitcoin around 8,000, whatever the price of Bitcoin is, 7,400 right now. He was saying, profits are great. It's actually really good. And he said they literally are a company that buys shipping containers, like those gigantic shipping containers that you see on boats or in stockyards, wherever you may see them. For those who do not know, you can buy those for like $2,000. And a lot of people are starting their mining operations in these things because they're metal and they can be cooled. He said they're literally buying them up, dropping them in random places around Canada where it's really cold and they get cheap electricity. And he said they're just mining hundreds of Bitcoins like every single month. He said business is really good, but he said on the entire topic of price manipulation, he was saying that when you are a mining company, especially as big as this one, you do calculations. You make sure to see exactly how much you are paying to mine each Bitcoin, how much electricity. And when you mine that Bitcoin, how much is worth it, that you make sure that you are making a profit. He said based on Bitcoin's current mining difficulty, he said, especially since they started last December and they, thought about getting into it last summer as well. He said based off of the calculations of the mining difficulty, he said there is no way on this earth that Bitcoin should be anything below $15,000 based on how much power it takes in order to mine one Bitcoin. This is kind of also where John McAfee gets his prices from. He says as the difficulty rises and it costs more to mine these things, he says by 2020, the end of 2020, Bitcoin should be worth $1 million per coin. And this is when I was saying there was another calculation. They said if this continues, which it's going to, people will not stop mining Bitcoin. They're only going to get into it more and more. It said that by the year 2030, I said this before in another video, the cost of mining one Bitcoin will be around $1 billion just because the network's difficulty will go up by so much. And the mining reward gets cut in half every 2 to 4 years. If I'm not mistaken, the time frame. So it's going to be really interesting to see by 2030 what the price of one Bitcoin will be. A lot of people, especially the higher up institutional investors and the other millionaires who talk about it, they say we're going to look at the past and see these prices, potentially watching one of my old videos in 12 years, and people are going to be kicking themselves saying, well, I wish I had put $7,000 into one Bitcoin. Like we don't know if the prices are ever going to go there, but there are a lot of people who've been calculating it, and they said there's no way that Bitcoin should be under $15,000. Continues to lead me to believe that the prices are just being pushed down so more people can accumulate. So it could be a good time to get in. Who knows? Prices may still fall. Last up, IOTA is in the news once again. According to recent news, the IOTA Foundation has launched a new testnet. They have officially renamed the current testing network to DevNet. An alternative to blockchain that is used for testnet is termed to be a testnet. Testnet is a mock version of mainnet, which is used for testing purposes. These testnets have separate and different coins and do not hold any significant value. DevNet will run the most stable and latest version of IOTA reference implementation, widely known as the IRI. DevNet is an experiment which will allow developers and coin testers to make changes without using or risking the main coin chain. Ed Grave, the head of engineering at IOTA Foundation, on their official blog post said, at least 2 more testnets are coming, CanaryNet and TestNet 1, leaving room for a TestNet 2, as you can guess. CanaryNet will be specifically for testing new versions of IRI before they hit the mainnet, and the other testnets would be for, well, everything else. We'll probably come up with some better names as they are released, but for now, it's enough to know that they are on the way. DevNet will be taking over the main testnet, and they have planned to introduce at least 3 more testnets in the near future: SpamNet, CanaryNet, and TestNet 1. IOTA was barely in the news for quite some time. I don't know if it's the summer hype around cryptocurrencies, but they're constantly in the news. It's good to hear that they're in the news. And without getting into any controversy, working on problems that could have been or were present in the past. It's not that I don't like IOTA. I mean, I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't care for it. I'd like to see them succeed simply because of what they're doing and how different it is from a lot of other blockchain-based coins. Alrighty, everyone, that is definitely going to do it for this video. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are having a great and wonderful day wherever you are, wherever you might be, whatever you might be doing. I hope it's fantastic. Thank you once again for watching and or listening, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.